Da 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 da. Ah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. As far as I'm concerned now, the best video game movie we've gotten. But it has not been a road without a bit of rockiness. Because let us not forget how this all began. No, not necessarily back to 2011 when we first knew a Sonic movie was in the works, but in 2019 when a little trailer with Gangster's Paradise played before the world's very eyes, to shock and horror and disgust.
And laughter.
Yeah, some laughter, but mostly gasps of horror, because, yeah. And little by little, more footage from that old stuff has surfaced, but we're not here to talk about that old abomination. We're here to talk about where it all led to. A pretty damn good Sonic movie. A Sonic movie that has done the impossible feats of beating, as Sony puts it, a new Marvel Legend movie, and also a Harry Potter movie that everyone and their mother swore would kick Sonic's ass off of brand recognition alone.
But aren't we supposed to be having the summer of Mobius?
No. Yes, that's right, the Morbius sweep. But unfortunately,
get that shit out of my face.
Unfortunately, Shuri, it seems that Sonic blew it away along with.
It'll turn out like the Year of Luigi, a complete flop.
So let me just put it like this: Harry Potter, a franchise that kicked Disney's butt not once but two incredibly big times, finally gets done in by Sonic the Hedgehog. I guess Disney are probably thinking, damn, we should have waited 20 years to release Treasure Planet.
Yes, Sonic the Hedgehog, a series that's been continuously lambasted by many people, whether for fair or unfair reasons.
I feel bad for Treasure Planet. It's a really good movie.
Same.
Managed to beat one of Warner Brothers' biggest behemoths.
And mind you, it's not just because it looks like the game's like, no, this movie is legit great, honestly. And it is very uplifting to see it doing this well. Jeff Fowler has really come quite a long ways from first being a staff member on the game for Shadow the Hedgehog, another game I hold close and dear to my heart of the franchise.
No, for me, no, it is definitely. I agree. It's still not my ideal, my personal ideal Sonic movie, because I would love this kind of writing and characterization combined with an animated Marza move. Marza Animation, the guys who made for those who don't know, the CGI cutscenes for the games. But that's still more. But considering, at the very least, it's still a great movie on its own merit. So. I mean, that's fine. It's not my personal ideal version of a Sonic movie, but for what we have here, this is still pretty great.
Yeah. Let's hope that they can keep the momentum going. So, let's not beat around the bush. Let's talk plot synopsis here. So the movie begins back on the Mushroom Planet, where Sonic stranded Eggman. Eggman, or in this case Dr. Robotnik, has been doing fine. He's a little crazy, but he's fine. He's literally trying.
Crazier
he literally uses mushroom juice for everything that involves liquid, so he's as fine as a person who's had nothing but mushrooms can be.
You know, it's a good job it's not mushrooms growing from the ground, because if it was, he'd probably be dead by now.
Yeah, earth mushrooms are no joke unless you've detoxified them. But anyway, his time on there may soon be coming to an end, as he is accosted by weird men in armored suits. He defeats them, but is stopped by a giant red echidna, played by Idris Elba, called Knuckles, who is after the ultimate power. What is that? You'll have
Chaos Emerald?
Bigger. Think bigger. Anyway, though, speaking of bigger, though, back on Earth, Sonic's having a go at the whole heroics thing. He even tries to come up with a name like the Blue Justice or the Blue Dawn.
He's not very good at it, though.
Yeah, in stopping a bunch of robbers, he ends up causing a lot of collateral damage, to the point where he ends up reenacting the opening cutscene for whenever you boot up Sonic Adventure.
And
Street,
that's
right? Sorry.
Jover, I remember that bit in Sonic Adventure where Sonic causes the city to be flooded.
Yes,
I mean,
Pedro.
he calls himself the Blue Streak, right?
He actually calls himself a multitude of names. He can't decide on one.
I'm actually surprised they didn't go with Blue Blur as one of them.
Maybe they were saving it.
Maybe it was too obvious.
Anyway, but yeah, if you've read the prequel comic, which they made for it, they do actually provide some details for this movie. Now, mind you, those aren't details that need to be in the movie, so it's fair game, but they're nice little extra details, like how Knuckles came across those armored folk, or why Agent Stone is manning the coffee shop, or what's the dealio with Eggman's tech being left behind here and there. Good stuff. Back to the movie itself, though. So Sonic comes back, but it turns out that James Marsden's character, Tom the Cop, knows that he's been out. Like, I'll give Sonic props, he made an amazing dummy of himself. Only problem is that it kind of fell apart mid-operation. Still, though, for a Hedgehog who really should not know how to build the stuff well, he built it pretty well. So
Naturally, it's a cause found out.
So he and Tom have a talk in a boat in the lake.
And even better, Tom takes Sonic to the very place where he died.
This is where the primary theme of the story comes in. What does it actually mean to be a hero?
Mm-hmm. And Dwibs isn't kidding. This is literally the same area in Canada where the Cyclops death scene was shot.
Yeah, because Marsden was going off to do Superman Returns. You could argue about that movie's quality however you want, but I still think it's better than X-Men 3. But anyway, so in said conversation, Tom doesn't die this time miraculously, but instead he tries to tell Sonic that you have to be patient because you don't choose the moment you save the day, it chooses you, so you got to be ready in that. And please stop destroying half the city.
Yeah, that's some good advice there.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure he didn't have to tell him that, but he told him anyway.
It never hurts to be careful. So anyway, Tom and Maddie are essentially heading off to Rachel, Maddie's sister's wedding, essentially, which is in Hawaii. Which, while that would normally take a very expensive plane ticket, Sonic can just give them a trip with his rings. I do wonder, are those rings finite, or do they just shrink back after a usage at some point?
It looks like they're fine. I mean, otherwise, why would you need all those rings? You could just use the one.
Where does he keep all those rings? I don't know. I never asked.
Don't you see he keeps them in his bag? In his sack.
Which he keeps up his... Yeah, let's not go.
We see him wearing the bag, Dwibs.
but that's not as fun.
So anyway, yeah. So Sonic literally kind of tears up the house, though thankfully he can fix it just as easily after fun time. So...
Speed.
So it's revealed that actually it was at this point in the original movie where Tails shows up, having tracked down Sonic. Yeah, you remember that post-credit scene that involved Tails in the original movie? Turns out this is about the moment in time where that occurs. And yes, everyone does have updated models, which all look awesome.
Yeah, in fact, there is, on the subject of the cast of the movie, now, Jim Carrey obviously comes back as Robotnik, and everyone else is who they were, and as Joe mentioned, it just open voices Knuckles. And in a even after the post-credit scene of the last movie, in a move that not many people saw coming, they actually got Tails' voice actor from the games to voice him in this film.
Everyone and their mother was expecting that they do the popular thing and add Tom Holland or someone like that in his Tails, but no, they actually got the video game actress.
Yes, have him voice an 8-year-old.
It makes sense for two reasons. One, she's cheaper than getting a celebrity. Second, unlike the other two main characters, Sonic and Knuckles, Tails is characterized pretty much the exact same way he's always been in any game. So Colin's performance fits just as easily, unlike Roger and who voices Knuckles nowadays on the games?
It's still honestly, that's the thing. Knuckles' voice actor has been the least inconsistent
Dave B.
of the
Mitchell.
main trope. Oh, was he the one who last did him in Team Sonic Racing?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, regardless, he's still, even though it's a new guy, he's clearly emulating the Travis Willingham performance. So the basic point is, they don't. Colin actually fits movie Tails. Because movie Tails is basically the same as he's always been anyway. So might as well use Colin.
Speaking of Jim Carrey coming back, again, another feat this film made, it actually made Jim Carrey enthusiastic to do sequels. Jim Carrey is kind of notorious for not liking sequels ever since the sequel to Ace Ventura, which he reportedly did not like, apparently.
But he did Ace Ventura 2. No, Dumb and Dumber 2, sorry.
Well, which is weird because I mean, Ace Ventura 2 is very well liked by fans, so I don't know what.
Apparently,
what's that
Carrey
about.
himself didn't like it, that, and possibly not the making of it as well. Regardless, though, yeah, ever since Ace Ventura 2, he's been normally averse to sequels. Dumb and Dumber seems to have been that weird exception, and I forget the details, like if he was offered like a hell ton of money for it, or it was like one thing he was making his exception. Regardless, this is the first time he has been this enthusiastic about doing a sequel. And you know what? Given the stuff that they let him do in this movie, I'm not surprised. Like, okay, let me put it like this. You remember our commentary of 102 Dalmatians, how I mentioned? In 101 Dalmatians, the best thing of that film was Glenn Close. So what did they do for the sequel? Give Glenn Close, like, 110% more screen time and let her ham it the hell up. That is pretty much what they did with Jim Carrey in this movie, cause holy cow. Let's just say the time on that mushroom planet may have driven Robotnik even more insane, as you'll come to see. Because Sonic's about to get an unexpected visitor.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Robotnik.
Yes, he somehow managed to get a new ship. He somehow managed to get everything in place and get back to Earth in, like, just 8 months.
Well, remember, dudes, that's because Knuckles showed up on the mushroom planet and brought him back to Earth. Anyway, Knuckles shows up and pretty much pummels Sonic for their first meeting.
Even using his mega power doesn't work.
Yeah, because Knuckles has his own mega power to match wits with Sonic, and it's not looking good. That is until Tails shows up and, I kid you not, runs over Knuckles with a car. A police car. Yeah.
I knew Tails was good with tech and driving things, but I didn't think he would resort to vehicular manslaughter.
You're Sonic the Hedgehog, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. So off they go, with Knuckles in hot pursuit. But thankfully they manage to defeat and evade him. To which Robotnik, while also chasing them on a lawnmower, cause Carrie got a carry and all that. Oh, by the way, I feel like there are some other references to his past movies in this one, but I couldn't exactly spot them all. Regardless, he sets in the works for Agent Stone, who's running the now-named Mean Bean Coffee Shop. And yes, they do make sure that you are well aware of its name. Gets things ready. So, it turns out Robotnik had a satellite stocked with a spare outfit and some robots. And yes, for those people worried that Robotnik might spend the entirety of this movie in another black suit, fear not, he gets the iconic red jacket and goggles in this one. And
I mean, he's not fat, but yeah.
Some people are speculating that the third film is where he's finally going to get into a fat suit, especially since we do see a reference to Fat Eggman in this movie as well. Which is weird, he was gaining weight noticeably at the end of Sonic 1, but I guess his metabolism eventually just adjusted to having the mushrooms. Regardless,
I mean, if he does return for the third movie, of course.
you can make. I guess you can make an argument that since he's been in there with little food, he wouldn't get fat. Maybe.
I guess the idea was that the weirdness of the mushrooms
In the
was
mushroom
bloating.
dimension, I mean.
Yeah. At the end of the first movie, it seemed to imply he was gaining weight because he had the mushrooms to eat and they were weird. But I guess he probably got used to it, and yeah, at that point was starting to become thin. Me personally, I'm fine with it, and I know what some people may say. But Squirm, don't you hate the relatively skinny Eggman in Sonic 06? Honestly, the fact that he's slimmer than Eggman was the least of that
That's
Eggman's
the least
problems.
of that Baron's problems. Seriously.
And honestly, stuff like Sonic Boom showed that Eggman doesn't always have to be fat. The charm of Sonic Boom Eggman is that he looks like an upside-down egg. Sure, bulkier and more muscular, but his body is still the shape of an egg, just not the typical way you look at it. So no, Eggman just...
Not to mention, this particular version of Robotnik is actually called Robotnik. It's clearly not trying to imitate... It's clearly not paying attention to the Japanese original intention.
I mean, to be fair, they do still call him Eggman here and there because of the egg motif.
Okay, let me rephrase that. They stick with what Sonic Adventure 1 was doing, where, yeah, Sonic and Tails nickname him Eggman to make fun of him, but he doesn't see himself as Eggman because he finds that name insulting. But then eventually they revert back to the Japanese terminology.
Okay, to be fair, the lore does explain that Eggman pretty much decided, okay, you're going to keep calling me Eggman, well, I'm going to turn it into a badge of honor and wear it with pride. As sort of an up yours to Sonic. Yeah, speaking of Sonic and Tails, Tails reveals how he's seen Sonic. And how he's watched him. Even when he's showering.
He's a fanboy, remember? Like, to be fair, the movie points out that it's weird.
Well, don't you see? Tails is cute, so it's not weird. Isn't that right, Jirai?
I'm not touching that one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe what if the person who wrote that bit was the one doing all those things on DeviantArt? And I'm like, oh no, don't, please.
Don't peek on people in the shower, ever.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, unless you're married to them and they're okay with you doing that.
Sure. You're forgetting that according to the ending scene of Sonic Forces, Tails is gay for Sonic. So
I guess
no, that's your interpretation of that scene.
Okay, so
I'm sticking to it, goddammit.
So I guess to be fair, Sonic is often not wearing clothes except for gloves and shoes.
So technically, watching him in the shower technically makes no difference than watching him outside of the shower, to be fair.
I just don't get it. How does something being in the shower make it creepy? I felt creeped out too.
Alright, so what happens after
Right.
the Bee Machine coffee place?
So essentially, yeah, Robotnik gets the satellite with a new batch of robots, and even helps Knuckles. Actually had a funny scene where Knuckles thinks Robotnik's about to betray and attack him, only to find out that he's actually just providing him stairs for easier traveling. And Eggman promises that he will show Knuckles the way. I
Definitely.
do not know if that was an intentional reference or whatnot. Oh yeah, probably should talk about the characters. Sonic is once again handled great here. Tails and Knuckles were handled phenomenally.
Knuckles is my favorite character.
Wait, would you say he's ... your favorite character?
Yes.
Yeah.
Leave him alone. He's learning.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not used to our culture.
They pretty much got a good compromise with Knuckles here and there. He can be tricked, but that's only because he's naive and this is kind of his first go at things. Not to mention, Robotnik really does play up a good act of getting Knuckles to trust him as well by making him think that he even likes him better than Agent Stone.
A lot of people like to compare him to Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, but I actually think it's much more similar to Toy Story 1 Buzz Lightyear. Because remember, it's kind of the same thing. Buzz Lightyear is also kind of in a place where Buzz Lightyear is not naive. It's more so that he's a fish out of water character that people make fun of. Woody makes fun of Buzz all the time in that movie. The humor comes not at his expense, but rather as of the contrast between his knowledge and other people's knowledge. That's what makes it all, instead of being the typical Knuckles is stupid jokes that a lot of the games do, sadly. So.
I mean, granted, as of Team Sonic Racing, they don't seem to be doing the Knuckles is dumb thing anymore, so.
Which is funny because by the time Pontac and Graf decided to write Knuckles that way, they left the series afterwards.
Anyway, so the movie, though. So Robotnik and Knuckles go and meet up with Agent Stone, who is kind of jealous of how Robotnik seems to be getting along better with Knuckles. I'll say this, like, Agent Stone is a character that I could actually see working in the games eventually. And for as much as Robotnik may claim that he doesn't care for Stone, let's be honest, by the end of the film, it's clear that he cares about Stone.
While we're in that topic, can we just drop Orbot and Cubot and get Agent Stone on their place instead?
I mean, I like Orbot and Cubot, but I would not mind if they got replaced by Stone.
Can we talk about how Stone makes latte art of Robotnik's face?
I gotta say, he's pretty good at making that latte art.
Even one with the two of them together when he was expecting him to show up with a little heart on it.
Aww.
I ship it.
A lot of
Have been
people
since
do.
the first movie.
You know what? I could see it working. So anyway, Robotnik has quite a few plans to track Sonic and Tails, essentially. What they're essentially going after is revealed to them in a hologram from Longtail, which they find at Wade, you know, Tom's friend cop. They find out at Wade's garage, which I believe he calls the Wade Cave or something like that. Bless his soul, he's trying. Basically, they get a Star Wars-esque message from Longtail, who pretty much informs Sonic of Longclaw, who informs Sonic of the Master Emerald. That's right, the Master Emerald from the games, only here it's a bit different. So what happened is that the Echidnas, being, well, the Echidnas, as you may recall from Sonic Adventure, craving power, and not realizing the consequences that may come with it. So what did they do? They took the 7 Chaos Emeralds and merged them into the Master Emerald, which, I won't lie, is actually an interesting backstory for the Master Emerald in this regard. Oh, and...
You know the Echidnas?
Yes?
What if they're those Echidnas from that Archie Sonic comic that got warped to another dimension because Ken Penders?
Oh god, I guess we might as well mention this. Yes, at the time of this recording, Paramount may be in trouble of being sued by Ken Penders because, and I kid you not, he didn't even see the movie, but he heard from one of his quote-unquote fans that
fans?
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest, at this point, I think his quote-unquote fans are just people who willingly feed into his ego just because they love seeing him make a fool of himself.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident it's just people pretending to be his fans, again, because, you know, like, it amuses them. How about this, Jova? How about this, Jova? April Fools. How about this? How about we have a Be Nice to Ken Day on April Fools? I mean, he's a fool, so why not, right?
Oh my. But yeah, basically, one of his fans told him that this movie has Knuckles having a father who ends up dying for supposedly the greater good. And Ken took that to mean that they're ripping off Locke from the Archie comics. And apparently now he's in talks with his lawyers to try and sue Paramount.
Never mind the fact that dad in the movie doesn't look anything like Locke, but whatever.
Not only that, honestly, part of me does want to see him go through with that because he will get spanked. For all his bluster about supposedly winning the trial with Archie, he seems to forget that he didn't actually win. He settled. And that's only because Archie were incompetent and lost their paperwork in a fire.
The only reason that man has any relevancy at all is because he won't keep his mouth shut.
Pretty much. But enough on that, loser. Let's talk about the movie some more. So, but yeah, eventually, so the hunt is on to find the Master Emerald, which just so happens to be the thing that Knuckles is after as well. So
For different reasons.
so along the way, Sonic apparently gets a text from Tom, and oh, right, yeah, I nearly forgot. So, yeah, for the bits with the humans that don't have Sonic and Company in them, there is this subplot which is leading up to Rachel's marriage going on. And this is apparently where some people's biggest problems come with the movie. Although, is it sad that it didn't surprise me that some critics were actually saying that there should have been more of the humans and less of the Sonic characters?
I disagree with that, but I actually do enjoy the human characters in this sequel.
Oh, yeah, me too. Now, honestly, I know a lot of people say, oh, but the wedding subplot really drew things into the mud. At best, I'll say the first 2 wedding scenes. Other than that, though, I'm fine with the wedding subplot and the human subplot. Now, does it maybe feel like the plot has to juggle between the two a bit? Yeah, sure, but honestly, I've seen much worse and more unfocused films than this. I feel like, again...
Morbius.
To mention, the 2 plots eventually converge, so it's not like that scene. So it's not like that plot is happening in its own little vacuum.
That too. Honestly, I'm fine with the wedding stuff. I can get why some people wouldn't care for it, but I'll say this, at most, I do feel like maybe the first 2 scenes in it were a bit off, but yeah, honestly, given what it culminates into, I think it's worth it. But just know that for the time, the wedding's happening at Hawaii, and it's due to happen.
Question, Jova, because Deji told me privately that he did say it was a bit what do you think of the way Rachel is characterized?
Okay, I'll say this. Rachel is way funnier in this movie. Don't get me wrong. She was fine in the first movie as that antagonistic sister-in-law character. Maybe a bit annoying, but it helped that they didn't overdo it with her. In this one, I feel like they actually did make her sympathetic. For instance, she actually starts out the movie wanting to bury the hatchet with Tom, and you know what? Good stuff here and there. And again, okay, I won't get too ahead of the movie and spoil what goes on with her, but I will say this, when we reached the climax of her arc, I was laughing, as were a lot of people in the theater.
Oh,
yeah.
I was too.
Okay, I'll say this. I was fine with her before. This movie, I love her now.
Me too. It's just that that's me personally, but I've heard from Deji that some people might be a bit iffy on the, as he put it when he talked to me, the stereotypical angry black woman character, angry black woman character. So what do you think about that?
Okay, unlike say something like Ghostbusters 2016. The angry black woman character did not feel like the main thing driving Rachel's character or the only reason to even notice her. Unlike in, say, Ghostbusters 2016, where I love the actress who played her, but God, not only was she typecast at that stuff, it got downright stereotypical to the point where that was the only thing helping her stand out amongst the cast, who more or less are blend in with one another. Here, it's kind of Ben and Rachel's character, and again, it's not all that defines her, because she does actually end up helping out in the plot legit, and it's not like that's all there is to her. Now, mind you, I can get how some people may roll their eyes at it at first, but it doesn't feel potentially harmful like in, say, Ghostbusters 2016. You wanted to say
All I was going to say was...
I agree. But go on, Shira. You wanted to say
No, all I was going to say was that thought actually did cross my mind while watching the movie. So, yeah, it was nice to hear your input from that, Jova.
And again, like I said, what they do with her by the, nearing the end of the film helps make it a heck of a ton worth it and just funny. But yeah, while that's going on, Sonic gets a text from Tom. Or so he thinks. It's actually Robotnik catfishing him, essentially. And that's where we get the epic ... scene from Knuckles. Yeah, Idris Elba definitely plays up Knuckles very, very well in this movie.
Knuckles is adorable in this movie.
He is. He really is. So,
Is that
Robotnik...
something you'd expect to say in this film, Shiri?
Sorry, what?
Is that something you'd expect to think about Knuckles in this film?
No, not really.
No, the Knuckles of this movie is basically Sonic 3 Knuckles. It's clearly harkens more to how he was characterized in the 90s. And I'm so happy about that.
So, anyway, Robotnik opts to chase after Sonic and Tails, effectively ditching Stone. Or so he tells Knuckles, essentially. Again, working that charm on Knuckles to get him to believe in him. And I'll give Carrie this. For as wacky and goofy as he acts, he still can have those quiet and more sinister tone approaches, which, you know, help define Eggman, essentially.
Definitely helped by the fact that he's voiced by Idris Elba. So...
Oh, I was actually talking about Jim Carrey as Eggman with the silent and deadly bits here and there.
I lost myself around there. But yeah, that applies to him too, yeah.
Yeah. And again, Carrey is a master of charisma, so it does help believability that Eggman would be able to trick Knuckles in this case, too.
See, here's the thing. Jim Carrey is mostly well known by mass audiences as the wacky comedy guy, which, don't get me wrong, he's a master at it. But he has done drama as well, and he's excellent at drama too.
Which is funny.
He's a very versatile actor. So
I wonder if Carrey himself was surprised that of all the parts where he gets to show off his more dramatic side, would be in a flipping Sonic the Hedgehog movie, but here we are. I wonder if this
watch
is
the Truman Show for a fully movie that's entirely focused on that, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, heck, in some regions it's completely free and available on YouTube. Good stuff. But, yeah. So while that's happening, Sonic and Tails are following the map, which leads them across the country, off into the Himalayas, apparently. Which leads them to come across a shack out in a blizzard, essentially. So, yeah, they go in, and of course, the people there aren't too friendly. I forget, were they Scandinavian, Shiroi?
I think they were...
don't remember.
People there are quite deadly appearing. Luckily, Tails has his translator to talk with them, essentially.
Yeah, that's something I never thought they'd. Because that's the thing with the Sonic, with this series recently, I thought they'd just be referencing exclusively 90s Sonic, not Sonic Colors, but there we are. The translator gag.
Honestly, this is actually a good movie to be a representative also of the Sonic Adventure era, where Sonic and friends were walking amongst the humans and everything. Which
Also, the translator goes about as well as using Google Translate itself.
yeah,
It is Siberia.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
sorry,
It's Siberia. Like, it goes well at first, but then it ends up insulting the people there, which leads them to then shake off Sonic and Tails' disguises, which reveal them to be, well, as they refer to them, as demons.
And they were going to burn them alive.
Yeah.
You know, if they were using their pre-Tyson Hess designs, then yeah.
You know what? Honestly, again, part of me does wonder, what would this project have been like if they were continuing off of the design mentality from the original look?
It probably would have bombed because honestly, I know hate watching is a thing, but people were so disgusted by the original design. I don't think that many people would have even hate watched it.
Like, keep in mind, we even have some footage of what the old one was supposed to be like, which I just posted in the info dump network. We were going to see Sonic's bare feet as a baby in that bit.
And Tails as well. But I don't know, Shira. There is a Twitter account of #release the Sonic cut where they want to see the original Sonic design.
For like a DVD or Blu-ray extra, I would love to have the old design in that scene where they just actually throw them into the fire.
You know what? And you know what? It would be completely applicable because that thing was the stuff of nightmares.
Yes, those are indeed demons.
Thankfully, though, there is a way out. If they win a dance-off. It's a thing.
Yeah. So naturally, they go up against three experienced Scandinavian dancers. Sonic and Tails either with Sonic's agileness or not skilled dancers. So Siberia, sorry.
Which is funny because Sonic can breakdance.
Yeah.
Like, canonically.
Well, you see, what it turns out was that they needed the right type of music to do it to. And the music they picked, of course, is Uptown Funk. Which, don't get me wrong, that's a nice song, but... not exactly my favorite. Regardless, though, this helps Sonic and Tails bond, as they manage
Jova,
What?
Would you have preferred Strangers in Paradise?
Don't you mean Gangster's Paradise?
That's it. So, yeah, that's it. Sorry, Gangsters in Paradise. Sorry.
Because Strangers in Paradise, that implies a crossover between Sonic, Tails, and Jack.
That's
now that I think about it, that could be pretty awesome.
Exactly, but would you prefer Gangsters in Paradise then?
You know what? It would be a good inside gag, and goddamn it, ever since that trailer introduced me to that song, I can't deny it's kind of a guilty pleasure for me. Keep in mind, Gangster's Paradise is now officially part of Sonic's history. Like, people are making Sonic remixes of that song now.
I mean, Paramount deleted the original trailer from their channel, but...
Like that? Yeah. Shame they couldn't stop, like, a million other re-uploads of that trailer. No one, and I do mean no one, is going to let them forget the ridicule that thing got.
It caused unity within the community.
Speaking of unity, so Sonic and Tails are bonding. All well and good. So then the next morning, Sonic wakes up with a human woman hugging and cuddling him.
Actually, I should mention a bit before that.
Yes.
I remember the reaction in the cinema I was watching it with, where Sonic and Tails fell asleep and they were helping each other get comfortable, was really something.
What was your crowd's reaction?
So there were so many, oh, this is so cute.
Like, aw as in cute,
that was what I was like too,
yeah.
actually.
Or aw as in
and with Tails saying, are you my pal, Sonic? Yeah, of course you are, Tails.
Aww.
Yeah, you see, this scene works the best because of Ben and Colleen.
I would
stuff.
And again, also partially because the designs are good. It's like I mentioned with the scene with JoJo in the original Sonic movie. Imagine trying to do a heartful scene with the old model. Like, I suppose if the writing was good enough, maybe, but even still...
Nah, the visuals would still take me out of it, I think, if it was that bad.
Probably. Like, again, look. Visuals in a movie can be trippy, but it is downright bad when visuals alone can take someone out of a movie, regardless of the writing's quality. But yeah, Sonic wakes up being cradled by that old woman. Like, I wonder if that was supposed to be a Sonic 06 reference, because, yeah.
I think it was just a drunk woman that just fell asleep.
Okay, so the Venture is back on, and they find the temple in the mountain, which has certain inscriptions to inform of how and where you can find the Master Emerald. Unfortunately, Knuckles, Eggman, and all of his robots come in and attack them. Which leads us to the Ice Cap Zone, where Sonic uses a piece of robot to snowboard down the hill.
Also, before you continue, just a little quick thing, and I'll double check this in the background while you carry on. Apparently, the symbols on those plaques, I'm not sure exactly what they're called. They're supposed to be a reference to the language for the Babylon Rogues.
Huh.
I mean, one of them was a Sega Saturn logo.
But,
it wouldn't surprise me, given how we even got a Sonic Adventure reference during the dance-off scene where Sonic literally does the Sonic Adventure cover pose.
But yeah, carry on.
But yeah, Shuri just raised a good point. This movie... Okay, you know how the first movie had a lot of Sonic references? This one ramps it up to 11, to the point where can't even really bother to mention them all, otherwise we'd be here all night. Regardless,
But they
though,
feel so genuine, which, like with the first movie, is what I like about them.
exactly. Like, they all work and none feel needlessly forced. Speaking of which, Knuckles pursues Sonic also by snowboarding down after him while Tails tries to contend with Eggman. So Knuckles, at some point, nearly falls to his death, but Sonic helps him, much to Knuckles' confusion. Of course, Knuckles perceives this to be a...
He chose to help the fox over getting the compass.
Well... yes, and that will cost him dearly. So says Eggman to Knuckles.
So, not to mention, I really love the again. This is the combined with the talk you just had with Sonic about how Sonic lost things too.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the first place where the seed of doubt is now being placed in Knuckles' brain.
Right, yeah. Because Knuckles reveals to Sonic his backstory. Apparently, on the same mission, which it seems it's confirmed that Long Claw was killed. It seems that Knuckles' dad was also lost. So it seems like their destruction was mutual that day. Longclaw apparently took down the echidnas with her. To which Knuckles is rather bitter about, since he was convinced that this was to be his destiny and whatnot, but now it's all gone. Speaking of stuff that's all gonna be gone, Robotnik triggers an avalanche to take out Sonic and Tails while he and Knuckles go off to the island where the Master Emerald is to be located off of. So, this is where the wedding plot converges with it. Sonic calls up Tom to essentially open up a portal for him. Tom's about to do that, but it turns out that from an earlier scene where he was playing a magic trick with JoJo, he accidentally swapped the wedding ring with one of with the ring Sonic gave to him to get him back home when he's done.
Oops.
Yep.
So shenanigans occur. He has to go up to the altar and literally punch out the husband's lights because he won't give up the ring to save Sonic and company. And then they, along with Siberian snow, comes pouring out upon the entire wedding ceremony, much to Rachel's dismay. And even further dismay when she sees that now there are two of them when Sonic shows up with Tails. So, it should all be good, right? And Sonic can just get Maddie to help Tails out, right? Because because Eggman shot Tails, which has left Tails fatally wounded. Well, not so much, because at that point, Rachel's fiancé arrests them. In fact, it turns out everyone at the wedding was in on a scheme to catch Sonic and company. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you remember the old general from the first movie? Well, he's been retconned now to be Commander Tower. Yes, that Commander Tower. And they have developed Gun. And yes, the movie does take the piss out of the fact that their acronym essentially spells out gun.
Yeah, because in this universe, Gun was set up not because of not because of Shadow, but because of Sonic continually destroying bits he's trying to save.
Apparently, they have been wanting to capture him ever since Tom and Maddie refused to give him over at the end of the first movie. And, yeah, needless to say, Rachel's pissed. And I'll admit, this was one way to help the audience sympathize with Rachel. Have it turn out that her entire wedding was just a hoax to catch Sonic. And you can
And she was worried about the Donut Lord ruining her wedding.
Well, that's the thing, though, actually. Actually, no, I take back what I was going to say. It does work. Sonic and friends are captured, and, okay, yeah, okay, it is my little bugbear with the film a little bit. Okay, I get it. You can't have Tails in every scene, but he is knocked out for quite a lot of time. I thought he was gonna wake up and get amnesia.
Oh, thank God they didn't. But yeah, so some people have mentioned, yes, we do get to see Tails' gadgets in action, and they are pretty lethal. It's just that instead they're used by Maddie and Rachel. Why? Well, because Sonic, Tails, and Tom, after punching some of the guys trying to take Sonic and Tails, get detained. Maddie rouses Rachel to help her sneak in, essentially. As some people have mentioned, kind of a missed opportunity to not pull a Tails adventure and have Tails be the one to rescue Sonic and whatnot. Thankfully, Tails does get his moment later on, but yeah, he is knocked out for a bit. Granted, this does harken back to Sonic learning responsibility for his fellow man and whatnot.
Yeah. I'm only going to say it harkens back to Sonic 2 where you don't see Tails in most of it, the 8-bit one.
You mean the one where Tails can potentially die?
Yeah. That's what this movie does take inspiration from Sonic 2.
Whereas,
on the Master System.
Or as dictated by Shiroi's headcanon ending of Sonic 2, as she said in our commentary, both Sonic and Tails actually die at the end.
Yep, I'm sticking to it.
But Shiroi, it doesn't make sense if we're going by strictly the 8-bit games. How come they're alive after that?
Because it's the bad ending, it's not canon.
But
it's the worst ending. Well, how do you explain the actual bad ending versus that? No, they're both dead.
Yeah, but before you're talking about the good ending, since you see both Sonic and Tails in the sky.
Yeah, but in the bad one, you see just Tails in the sky, implying he died.
So what you're saying is that
both just died in the good ending.
So what you're saying is
maybe that's why it's good. They died together. I don't know.
It's quite simple. The sequels are all in the afterlife.
Yes, 8-bit.
No,
Sonic
that is the real moment the split timeline occurred.
the wonder Sonic is naturally a bit slower in the 8-bit games. He was dead.
But yeah, no. Rachel is pissed, and oh god, do they have fun with Tails' gadgets. Tails' gadgets have anti-gravity, which literally takes a guy up to the sky. Don't worry, he eventually comes back down. Literal lethal guns! Yes, the little 8-year-old has been developing high-powered guns. All that good stuff. And Rachel kind of goes on a rampage with them. Literally blowing up the stage and the cake, essentially, to confront her fiancé in Commander Tower.
So sorry, but I had to say it. And Rachel goes, "Oh, hell no."
Yeah, honestly, yeah, for as annoying as Rachel could be, this movie endeared me to her because it's like, might as well go the Bridezilla route. Now, I get that some people's complaints may have been, this was kind of a bit of an extended segment for the humans, but again, it's so hilarious, I'm fine with it. Besides, after that's all dealt with, it's revealed that her fiancé may truly have cared for her, especially when he does take a stun gun shot for her. So maybe those two crazy kids will make it work. Regardless, though, it turns out, hey, Gun, you may have made things worse by hindering Sonic and Company. Imagine Gun doing something needlessly stupid while supposedly protecting the planet.
Also, here's the confirmation about what I said earlier. This was from Tyson after the movie premiere.
Oh, wow, nice.
This particular person was actually at the movie premiere, so yes.
Yeah, no, good stuff. But yeah. Basically, Sonic feels sorry for Tails getting hurt, and thus he opts to go on his own to the island. Yeah, conveniently the island where the Master Emerald is hidden is not too far off from where the hotel resort is. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of sea to go through, so Sonic has to power his way through it.
Yeah, well, actually, he thinks he has to do it all by himself because he feels, like you said, he feels guilty about getting Tails hurt, and he doesn't want anyone else to get hurt, but everyone keeps telling him, "No, Sonic, you can't do it, you stupid moron." Okay, you don't say that last bit, but you know what I mean.
And it probably isn't. But when I was watching the movie, I kept thinking that looks a little bit like Prison Island.
You know what? That could be another reference there.
Yeah, but the island doesn't blow up at the end, Shuri.
So against all odds, Sonic actually does manage to fight against the sea and make it to the island. And not a moment too soon, because Robotnik and Knuckles have activated the tunnel to the temple, which literally parts the water like Moses to reveal it all there. Which Sonic goes after them pursuing. In which case we get some more references to, of all things, a hidden palace zone. And, of course, Sonic 3 and Knuckles with Robotnik and Eggman having to deal with all the traps, spikes, roller balls, and everything. To which we finally get to the Master Emerald itself. Right there for the taking. It's Knuckles' big moment. So, of course, Robotnik is all set to tase and shock him just like he did in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. From behind at that. However, unlike...
I've forgotten who went through the traps first?
Robotnik and Knuckles.
Alright.
Granted, Robotnik does eventually opt to try and go for a more routine observation. Sonic, of course, being Sonic, just brute forces the entire thing with his super speed.
Honestly, because you can see, like, the maze path from above, I thought he was just going to run across the walls at the top, but no, he went through the maze.
But you don't do that in the game. Jimmy, you can't do that in the game, so you can't do it here.
But this is Sonic we're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. You can't do that in the games.
That's the thing, even when playing fair, he still catches up with them thanks to his speed. Which, spares Knuckles the pain of getting shocked from behind by Robotnik like in the game. So Robotnik literally spectates the fight between Sonic and Knuckles, and it's a pretty good and climactic one as Sonic finally figures out how to get Knuckles down a peg. Unfortunately, Robotnik takes this opportunity to steal the Master Emerald, and collapse the temple on top of them, leading Knuckles to feel very awfully betrayed by the guy who was legit acting as friend.
He's to us, the audience, to me in the audience at least, I'm like, he's the villain played by Jim Carrey. Of course, he's gonna betray you.
But that's the thing, he never got the dark side, only the good side. Thankfully, Sonic has enough compassion to go and rescue Knuckles, who then returns the favor by swimming down back for Sonic and saving him.
But how did they get away from the underwater bit, Jova?
Well, Sonic has to dive down because Knuckles is trapped under some rubble. And he dives down sort of similar to how he can dive in the games, rolled up in a ball.
No air bubbles, though. 0 out of 10.
Although, apparently the drowning music for a moment was actually in the movie, as it was shared via Twitter and whatnot.
I didn't.
And you know what's funny? Sonic actually does use an air bubble to get some air while he's down there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was great. So he helps Knuckles.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that bit. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't hear I didn't catch because there were a lot of subtle musical references within the soundtrack apparently, but yeah, I didn't catch the drowning one because me and Alice were too busy mimicking it ourselves.
Yeah, I also really like how the place where the Master Emerald is Labyrinth Zone, so that itself is cool.
Yeah, I know, Labyrinth Zone, right down to how Sonic does that animation he does when sliding down the water bits.
Yeah.
If only they could have used the music, but I guess the major movie studio Paramount just couldn't afford Masato Nakamura's fees.
Okay, admittedly, Labyrinth Zone's theme ain't exactly the most type Sonic theme. I mean, it's not bad, but when you think Sonic, you don't often think Labyrinth Zone. Or rather, when you do think of Labyrinth Zone with Sonic, it's not often for the best of reasons. Regardless though, Sonic and Knuckles help save each other, to which they finally get a nice heartfelt talk to each other on just, well, why the heck Sonic helped a guy who's been trying to kill him all this time.
'Cause he's Sonic.
But they have a nice heartfelt talk with each other, right in time for Tails to show up. Now, earlier there was a plane that drove about a wedding sign for Rachel and Victor's wedding. Tails got that plane and modified it, in which case this is the iconic first tornado.
Yeah, he's stolen a second vehicle, the thief.
So Team Sonic are finally assembled with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. And my god, it is glorious. So, believe it or not, Robotnik officially becomes super in this film by absorbing the power of the Master Emerald. Even
And
gets
he becomes super carry.
Oh god, yeah. Hey Pedro.
Yes.
I'd say this is where Carrie became his most Carrie, if you know what I'm talking about, when he has the Master Emerald, because his mannerisms in that part are just, like...
Yep.
Off the goddamn wall.
Definitely.
So, basically, he goes back to Green Hills, terrorizes the populace there, and creates, I kid you not, out of all of guns, weapons, vehicles, and everything, the Death Egg Robot.
And it looks so cool.
Again, sadly, no Death Egg Robot boss theme from Sonic 2, but again, royalties.
Yeah, no, this design is pretty great. And of course, for a guy he supposedly doesn't care about, he does save Stone from being captured and arrested. Again, Eggman may say how much he prefers machines, but let's be honest, he cares for Stone underneath all that. You know what I love is that the Death Egg Robot actually comes with a Sega Genesis manual on how to pilot it too.
That was cute.
Yeah. So, it's up to Sonic and friends who come for a portal of their own to stop it. Of course, on the way there, Knuckles and Tails have a chat. Tails wondering if Knuckles maybe is still a bit sore about him hitting him with a car. To which Knuckles assures him that he's just fine. Although,
our revenge will come, Fox.
when you least expect it. Oh, God.
You know, Hedgehog. I'm wondering how come you're so cheerful despite failing again and again and again.
And again.
Okay, I get it. Oh god, yeah. Seriously, Knuckles is a treasure in this movie.
Don't attack me in my hour of sorrow.
Love that. So yeah, Sonic and Tails try to go for a preemptive strike. However, Stone activates the mustache slap on that robot. Again, which he got from the Sega Genesis manual. And, yeah, manages to down Tails' plane. Which leads us to the scene that got leaked. You know, that one scene that got shown on Twitter, which literally has Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles' models all in a wrecked street. Yes, this is it. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles working together for the first time. And yes, it's awesome. Sonic taking down robots and stuff with his speed, Knuckles pummeling them with his strength, Tails going to absolute town on them with his gadgets and guns and whatnot. It is glorious, and it's everything I could have hoped for and more. So they eventually put up a plan to lure Carrie's response, because he is obsessed with killing Sonic at this point, while Tails and Knuckles can do the inside work, essentially. Sonic lures Carrie after him, while Knuckles and Tails slip on aboard. And essentially, Tails distracts Robotnik, while Knuckles can then knock the Master Emerald right out of Robotnik, which I'm convinced that's a reference to how he was able to knock the Chaos Emeralds out of Super Sonic at the start of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Unfortunately, the robot is still standing, and Robotnik made sure to leave in a backup auxiliary battery to it, to which he can now terrorize Sonic, who has caught the Master Emerald which slipped out of the Death Egg robot. Unfortunately, Sonic's a little worse for wear. Thankfully, Tom and Maddie come in with a truck, which they commandeer to help save him. Though still not to much avail, because then the Death Egg robot slams down on them and leaves them in a precarious position. How precarious? Well, enough that the Master Emerald gets shattered. Oops.
And turns into this, but now it's 7 Chaos Emeralds at least.
Oh, that's the thing.
It's like a little capsule. It just has the emeralds inside.
Yeah, that's the thing. When the emeralds merged, apparently the Master Emerald became a glorified case for them, because amongst its shards are 7 smaller emeralds, which start to swirl around Sonic, enveloping him in a light, and then... yes, Supersonic is indeed a thing in this movie.
And it looks so good.
I do like how they found a way to have their cake and eat it. Like, now we can have both the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald in this universe, essentially, while coming up with a way to explain why they've been here and whatnot. Good stuff.
All we need is the Super Emeralds, and Tails can have a super form.
Yes, Roy?
Also, forgetting to mention that the reason the emeralds came to their aid was because of the emotional moment that everybody had when they thought they were about to die.
Just like in Sonic Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome stuff. So then, yes?
Hedgehog, you are a brave and noble warrior. Go forth to your certain death. we're gonna have to work on your pep talks, buddy.
Yeah. So Sonic proceeds to, well, there's no other way to put it. He looks to be aiming to kill Robotnik for messing with his family, because he tears the head of the Death Egg robot off, and Eggman tries to talk it down. It's like, hey, you know what? Why don't you say we call this a truce and tie and go our separate ways? Sonic's response, he does arguably the best reference you could do to Sonic 06 of all things. Taps his foot on the Death Egg robot to tip it over. And I mean, it's like exactly how he does it in Sonic 06. And you know what? If you're gonna reference something from Sonic 06, you might as well reference that, because, let's be honest, the opening scene of Sonic 06 is probably the best cutscene in that entire game.
That's like the one good bit in the entire game.
And I like how Eggman's response was...
Aside from the roundhouse kick to Silver.
I love how even Eggman's like, oh really? So you're gonna do me like that?
Like, I feel like, I'm not sure if that was, like, just part of the script, but in my head, I'm just like, oh my god. It's like, it feels like you're really referencing that.
Oh yeah, I know, right? The Sonic 06 bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love Robotnik's response. Like, he ain't even mad at that point. He's just like, later, haters, and then he may very well be dead. Which...
we'll have to see.
Also, can we talk about that moment when Agent Stone got knocked out and Robotnik said, and I quote, "Oh great, now there's going to be complaints of a hostile work environment."
I felt like that was a bit on the nose. Just because this is a video game movie.
Oh, God.
I know that's probably not what they were doing, but in my mind I was like, ugh.
So yeah, in regards to Eggman possibly being dead, okay, so some people are on the fence about this. As you may have heard, on April 1st, it became prominent news that Jim Carrey is apparently considering retiring from acting. Now, there have been some people to point out that he did technically say this before April 1st, so possibly not an April Fool's joke. I still have my doubts, given that this rose to prominence on April Fool's of all days. But also, the studio behind this movie have said that they don't plan to recast Robotnik. So, if he's dead, I guess that would facilitate Jim Carrey's retiring from acting. Now, there have been some who say that he's not really gonna retire just yet, or that he might retire from most movies, but he'll stick around for the Sonic movies. If the worst were to come to worst, I guess they at least do have an out to say that, nope, he died in that one.
Yeah, so, I mean, considering what the post-credit sets up, I wouldn't mind either way.
Yeah, we'll get to that later, though. So
I think the movie did, like, sorry, just before we move on, I think, like, the way, like, Robotnik's send-off in this particular movie, like, they did it in a way that it's like, you know, they could kill him off and it would make sense. even if that's a shame.
Part of me does wonder if they did that preemptively because Carrie might have told them behind closed doors that he's considering retiring. Granted, it could have just been a coincidence, or maybe they put it in just in case if this movie wasn't getting a sequel. Although, as of the time of this recording, it definitely is getting not only a sequel, but a spin-off series for Knuckles, which will still have Idris Elba in it, and I'm so excited to see that. But, yeah. Afterwards, though, Sonic seems to be acting a bit strangely. Sort of similar to his depiction from Sonic the Comic of all things. You know, the British take on Sonic of all things.
The one where he's a dick?
Yes.
The best take.
And where Super Sonic is flat out evil, Knuckles warns him, "No, stay back! I'm afraid he is not still the Sonic that you know." Sonic then raises his hands up to the sky. Lightning flows from his hands, and down from the sky falls...
That guy.
a chili dog.
Oh.
And then a few chili dogs fall into Knuckles' eyes, to which he says, "Wait!
Never mind. He is the Sonic that you know."
You know what? That seems like just the Sonic thing to do. All the power in the universe. And he just wants a chili dog.
It would have to be the greatest chili dog that was ever made.
It probably was.
Yeah, given
it
the
came
powers
from
he
the
had.
heavens.
Yeah, literally did. So Sonic relinquishes the power of the Chaos Emeralds, to which case they fly back up. So I'll admit, when this happened, I thought, okay, so it turns out we have the Chaos Emeralds, but what they also do is have Knuckles restore the Master Emerald. I'll admit, I was surprised by that, but not as surprised as what came next. So you're probably thinking, well, now this means Knuckles will have to go into solitude and become the sole Master Emerald Guardian? No, actually, all of them, Sonic, Tom, Maddie, Tails, and Knuckles, all together must protect the Master Emerald. Which, honestly, I feel is a nice compromise that avoids kind of the problem with Knuckles in the game series of, having him be remanded to being Master of the Emerald Guardian to the point where he has to stick on an island. Now everyone's Guardian of the Master Emerald. They can take turns at doing that.
Also, I have a question.
Yeah?
Since this is the scene now where he shows back up again, who is feeding the dog for like the 2 or 3 days everyone was away for?
The dog fed himself, I guess.
With what I don't know, but okay.
So the day is saved, things are good, and we end on a nice throwback to the baseball scene from the first film, except this time, Sonic truly does have a family to play with.
And friends.
And I love how they're literally keeping the Master Emerald in the ice core.
Mm-hmm. Come on, Fox. Our dessert adventure awaits.
So
Knuckles gets to enjoy grapes and ice cream for eternity.
By the way. Yeah, that's right. They mentioned that Knuckles likes grapes. That's apparently a thing from the deeper
That's a reference to Sonic 3.
The manual, yes.
In the Sonic 3 manual, it says that Knuckles' favorite food is grapes. So yeah, it's a reference. A lot of people talk about Tails covering Sonic with his tails adorable. One thing that I don't hear people talk about is how Knuckles picking up Tails to go on the dessert adventure. Now that's adorable.
Yes.
Seriously, it's so great and wholesome. Speaking of great and wholesome, the post-credit scene.
Oh yes.
Oh
That's
boy.
wholesome.
Well, okay, given the relationship that said character once had with someone, before it was ripped to shreds, and literally shot in front of him.
Oh, can I describe this one?
Sure, go on.
So yeah, they obviously can't find Robotnik everywhere because they're unsure if Carrie's retiring or not. And as they're trying to excavate the remains of the battle, one of the gun agents goes up to the commander and says, "Oh, by the way, we were scanning through things and we found something horrifying. We found something from 50 years ago."
Yep. And what is it?
I wonder what that could be.
It's called Sega's founding. Actually, no, I'm kidding. Project Shadow.
And yes, they actually show, straight from the scene ripped from Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow in the capsule. And he does look good. Like, I do love how confident they are with this. But yeah, there you have it, Shadow. And given off of what Pat Casey has said in some video interviews, Rouge may not be too far behind. But what that means, folks. We're essentially getting Sonic Adventure 2 for Sonic 3.
So, and okay, well, there is one difference compared to the post-credit scene from the last movie.
Yes.
Shadow so far doesn't have a voice.
Which has led to a lot of people speculating who will be him. Could be Christian Bale, maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of things flying about, from Christian Bale to a few other known actors. Some people even threw up, well, if you got Khalid back for Tails, why not get Kirk Thornton back for Shadow?
Okay, and I won't lie. Kirk Thornton is fine at best with Shadow. He's somewhat found a voice for him, but I'm sorry. If I had to pick a Shadow, I'd go with Jason Griffith, honestly.
I'm just gonna go with David Humphrey.
But yeah,
I don't know that's not gonna happen.
But yeah, when it comes to this, okay, so I probably should mention, Jeff Fowler has mentioned that they're not going to try and just go for the willy-nilly chronological order of adaptation with Sonic stuff and whatnot. Instead, he considers this to be more of a melting pot of all different adaptations, which can allow them to jump from Sonic to Sonic 3 and Knuckles, merged with Tails, Sonic 2 to essentially Sonic Adventure 2. And you know what? I'm actually fine with this take on things here and there.
Yeah, like trying to adapt each individual game will either make a film that lasts barely half an hour, or a film that they'd have to cut up a lot of stuff from, like, say, the adventure games, which have slightly more plots, to fit them into movie length, and that is not going to.
That, or they'd have to convince Carrie to stick around for at least 6 movies to get to the point of Adventure 2.
Yeah, I don't think even Jim Carrey has that stamina.
But no, seriously though, I am so excited for Sonic 3. But yeah, that's the movie. It's a delight. And a box office success at that as well.
Yeah, I mean, of the films that I've seen so far in April. Actually, April's coming to an end. So of the films I've seen this April, the Sonic movie is definitely the best out of all of them. Closely followed quite a bit behind by Secrets of Dumbledore, which to give that film credit, is still leagues ahead over Morbius.
Such competition.
Yeah, I know.
The gloriousness of the Morbius sweep.
I mean, it's definitely the #1 Morbius movie.
And yeah, even putting certain things aside, Crimes of Grindelwald is still a garbage movie.
And the stake of it kind of reached Secrets of Dumbledore, unfortunately.
Let me put it like this:
I mean, it's like I said, it lacks what makes Crimes of Grindelwald bad, but it doesn't have much of what made the first film good.
Honestly, there's apparently an argument you could make for it being worse than Crimes of Grindelwald, because I kid you not, Shurai, there's a plot point in Secrets of Dumbledore, which is basically their excuse for the plot to become as insane and nonsensical as it can be. But
anyway, Sonic movie.
Regardless of the Sonic movie, though. Loved this movie from top to bottom. It's really, it's heartful, it's wholesome, it's awesome, it's got all the bells and whistles that I would like from a Sonic movie. And as an adventure connoisseur myself, it's nice to see a Sonic movie that feels like it as well.
Although one of the one bit I thought was kind of hilarious, even in the first movie, one of the production companies is called Original Film. And yeah, I mean, I like these two movies, but original is the last thing I'd call them.
Well, given the fact that they're literally adaptations.
Yeah, but then again, there's just a production company that made the Fast and Furious films, well, most of them, and Total
God,
Recall.
you just made me realize, guys, you do realize that if we get that scene of Eggman telling his demands to the president, they gotta have Dwayne Johnson as the president in that.
I've come to make an announcement.
And imagine Dwayne Johnson getting a terrorist threat from Jim Carrey.
Beautiful.
That's a pairing I never thought would ever happen, but I want it to happen now. As unlikely as it would be at this point.
Hey, you know what? A lot of people didn't think it'd be like we'd get a movie this faithful to the franchise, but honestly, if there's enough fan demand, I could see them getting Dwayne Johnson as the president for that scene.
Okay, yeah, aside from the hilarious irony of original films making this, and on a more serious note, I mean, the Hawaii stuff. I did enjoy it for the most part, although it did kind of drag the film down a little bit in terms of pacing. And also while Tails was in a bit more of the film before it was going to be, it still wasn't ideal how they pretty much how they put him out of action because we had to focus on the wacky Hawaii stuff for now. Overall, I did enjoy this movie, and it was a definite improvement on the first one. And that's not to say the first one was bad in any way. All the performances were solid. The effects work was a lot better than the previous one because unlike the last one, they knew what the design was going to be right from the get-go instead of having to replace it later on in the game. Game. And obviously they touched them up a bit so that they look better. And I enjoyed. I did get a kick out of Idris Elba as Knuckles. I mean, I know he's a good voice actor. I've heard him in Zootropolis. So voicing Knuckles like a guy who's so super serious he doesn't understand Earth humor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's cliche, but it works, so I don't care. This film does prove that yes, you can hire regular voice actors for big budget movies, and they won't flop. What was that? What they were afraid of would happen?
It's this mentality that you have to get high list actors for movies.
Yes. Even though films such as Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, for as just kind of big as I thought that movie was, did make a lot of money. So that throws that out the window.
Mm-hmm.
I still wish it was a better movie though. And anything else specifically? Okay, there is one thing I want to mention that I thought was just a bit disappointing. The music. It's not like it's bad music or anything from Tom Holkenborg, who came back for this one. But again, I thought the lack of game music was a bit disappointing. I mean, who knows? Maybe in Sonic 3, since this is an adaptation of Loose One of SA2, maybe they'll get to actually use some tracks in that one because they don't have to they don't have to pay Masato Nakamura any royalties for those. Unless they use that terrible remix from 06.
Crush 40 for Sonic 3.
I'll say this.
Provided GLE calms the fuck down from how he did it the last time.
I will say this also. If we are getting that scene from Adventure 2, we gotta have Live and Learn in some capacity. And
since I think this film series is a bit better at handling did the character die or not compared to the game. So hey, if they want to bring Shadow back, but still want to do the SA2 bit where he dies, quote unquote,
okay,
they'd be able to hide that fact better.
I'll be honest, like, I don't think it would be a wise idea for them to do the, oh, is Shadow dead or not thing in this case. Like, just have him be redeemed by the end or whatnot. Or, trying to figure out his own path, but, like, Okay, I do feel like part of the reason they originally did the whole Shadow is dead thing at the end of Adventure 2 was because, let's not forget, Adventure 2 was made in a state where, as far as they knew, the franchise was supposedly going to end, hence the advertisements given for that game. Farewell, Sonic. Forever.
And just the tone of the final scene and such overall.
That as well. I have a feeling they'll probably handle it better in the movie.
Yeah. I can't wait for I can't wait for the inevitable post-credit scene that takes inspiration from the ending of SA2 where they find Shadow's burning skeleton on the ground.
So anyway, anything else?
Yeah, aside from that dark ending, although I thought it was pretty fun, and I look forward to I think the Knuckles series might be coming out first on Paramount Plus, and hey, the service will actually be available here in the UK by then.
Oh, did they give a release date for it?
Not the show specifically. All I know is that Paramount Plus is coming to the UK in the summer, so I look forward to seeing that Halo TV show.
Sure, you go next.
Well, I'm glad we waited a few days after I'd seen this movie to do this, because my opinions now haven't really changed at all from when I first watched the movie. But at the same time, me watching the movie, the best way I can describe it is that I had monkey brain for the entire time I was watching that movie.
That awesome for you?
Yes. Like, it's really not, because in terms of the Sonic franchise, I've kind of just drifted away from it, and I've like just been disinterested for a long time now. Like, it's nice to be excited about, something Sonic related. Same with IDW as well. So it's nice to still have some quality still coming out, even if it's not from the main purpose of this series.
Honestly, this year has been kind of looking up for Sonic. Oh, sure, Sonic Origins has its issues, but the fact that Sonic Origins is not just gonna be a lazy repackaging of the classic games, and it's adding in all new stuff, which is also apparently being written by Ian Flynn, as is Sonic Frontiers. I mean, look. If they can make Sonic Origins, Sonic Frontiers, and apparently the show Sonic Prime work, this will definitely be the year for Sonic. Like, the comics and movie are definitely doing pretty damn well.
Yeah, so far Sonic's had a decent year, and that's nice. That's nice to see.
And honestly, the more we hear about Frontiers, the more I do have a good feeling about it. I don't think it's a guaranteed hit, but if that concept art of that lady is anything to go off of, and all the other details of it, this could be a pretty good year for Sonic. Back to your thoughts, Joy.
Yeah, like, for the movie itself, though, very enjoyable, very charming. It's, again, like, the references don't feel like, oh, look at this, we know about this thing, look at this thing. It's like, no, they genuinely fit into the universe really well. Like, Jova quoted that they said it's like a melting pot, and I feel like I think that's one of the best ways they could have taken these movies, because we all know how iffy straight-up adaptations of these stories can be, and understandably, people are a bit apprehensive about each new one that occurs. But yeah, the way these movies approached it has been very, very good. Like, the characters look great. They're all just plain adorable. The human stuff was actually really good. Compared to the first movie. In the first movie, it was fine. But no, I genuinely enjoyed the human characters in this movie, even when they were just interacting with each other and not specifically the Sonic characters and the humans. Because I enjoyed the wedding stuff. Even despite the potential issue that was brought up earlier about angry black woman stereotype thing. But yeah, this was just like it's nice to see these characters actually grow and develop with each other. And as was mentioned by the others, I do also like that, people aren't going off to do their own thing, like everybody gets like a nice little family. It's all cute. The music is whatever. I would have also liked more game music. We did have a few, including a nice little one of the Green Hill Zone ringtone there. That was cool. Knuckles is great. I think maybe Knuckles. Tails being a very, very close second because one of my favorite characters. And also on that note, would be really nice to get plushies of these characters, please.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just an extra floofy Tails, please. Thank you.
Oh, the merchandise is going to be flowing from this movie.
And I also agree that the movie looks a lot better in terms of some of the CG stuff. Like, I know there were a lot of constraints with the first movie, especially after the design change, even if it worked out in the end. Also, forgot to mention when we were discussing the after credits scene that Agent Stone is posing as a gun agent in that scene too.
Mm-hmm. Which again could be a hint.
Yes. Again, either he's going to find Eggman or he is going to replace Eggman potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
Yes. I also like how, because I know quite a few people were worried about this. I do like how, like, as far as we're concerned, Longclaw is actually dead. Because a lot of people were worried about her, just secretly being alive the whole time, but that would, put a dampen on Sonic's arc, for a lot of this. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the after credits scene though. Also, before that, we had for the first half of the credits more game style animation summing up the movie. So that was nice too. But yeah, the Project Shadow stuff. For the third movie, I wasn't sure if they were gonna go for the Metal Sonic route, but the moment Gun was introduced into the movie, like I knew exactly where it was going. So,
yep.
I didn't expect them to be so bold about it though, because that's the thing. For something that almost failed before it even passed the starting line, I love how bold they're being with the Project Shadow stuff. Like, they showed us the character, they very confidently say, like, Project Shadow, and it's like, okay, even if it's a very, very different iteration of SA2, because for all we know, it's going to be, like, 90% different, because that's how a lot of this has been. I just love I love their confidence in like tackling this particular story. Oh yeah. Even if it is different.
And based off of what we heard from interviews, we may very well be seeing a girl get shot in the kids' film.
Oh god. Off screen though, of course, off screen. We'll hear the gunshot, but we won't see it. But yeah, I just good luck to you, because I know people have strong feelings about this character and this story. Oh yeah. But given that confidence, go for it. I'm genuinely looking forward to how this turns out.
I think it's just all perfect. The guy who started off with Shadow the Hedgehog in the franchise is now going to have his take on one of the most beloved Shadow stories ever.
Yes.
Oh god, can you imagine if they actually referenced stuff from the Shadow the Hedgehog game in that film as part of the mixing pot ploy?
Hey, they referenced 06. They could easily reference Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, Shadow the Hedgehog has way more good moments than 06 anyway, I'll give it that.
Yes, it does. I think that's it for my final thoughts overall. Awesome movie. I'm looking forward to the third one, and also the Knuckles series.
All right, Pedro, you next.
Again, aside from all the references and all the fan service stuff, again, I do love the movie for being a really good story about heroism and honor and all that good stuff. All the characters all get good character arcs, and yeah, the movie does a really good job with all of that stuff. I find the characters all funny. I don't really have a problem with anything really. Again, the only real thing I can say is that again, it's just the fact that while this is a really great movie, I still can't help but feel like I would have loved this story to be portrayed by using Mars Animation's models. You know, it would have been so cool to see an animated film with like the Sonic Unleashed opening. But again, it's just to give an idea. Like to me, the best video game movie to this day to me is still the Layton movie, specifically because it uses the same animation studio, the same voice actors, and the same composer. Imagine a Mars Animation animated Sonic movie with Tomoya Watani as the composer and the game voice actors. You can't tell me that wouldn't be awesome.
It would be awesome. Though I am glad with what we still have, like, you know. And again,
sure.
I do like how they are showing that live action adaptations don't have to suck. You know, surprise of all surprise, if you put the right amount of effort to it, it can work, studios.
It can work. It's just that if you made it a CGI animated film, you would have made by Marza, you made it even more like the games, you know, and that to me would have been the ideal way.
Here's what I would have done, I guess, you know, have both of those, you know, go have this film series still, since, you know, whereas this one, you know, they are adapting Sonic, but they're doing more different takes, whereas the Marza one could possibly be films that take place in the actual game's continuity. It's kind of like what Resident Evil was doing back in the day, where the CGI films actually did take place in the game's continuity, while the live-action films were their own stuff. That's probably one of the few things those movies did right, though, given how the live-action movies are horse crap.
That's the basic thing of it, because to me, it would have been so awesome if we could do something akin to Eternal Diva, where we managed to get Tomoya Watani to write like we talked about the music being one of the weaker aspects, despite still having some bits here and there. Like imagine if we, instead of getting Tom Olkenborg, got Tomoya Watani to do something akin to what he did with Sonic Unleashed. You know, that would have been awesome. You know, like I really think that would have been a much better way to go about it, especially considering how mass audiences don't care about who's composing the movie. That's mostly film nerds like us who care about who's composing the music for a movie. So I'm pretty confident nobody would have cared if they would have gotten Tomoya Watani. Even the executives, I seriously doubt that the executives would have a problem with it. But oh well. But for its own merits, this is still a really great movie for what it is. So awesome.
All right, that leaves me. Yeah, this film was phenomenal. Like, this was one of the best theater experiences I've ever had in quite some time. Which is partly thanks to the pandemic really cutting down on how much I go to the theater, but that's besides the point. Now, this is legit a great movie. A wonderful popcorn flick, but it also has good writing that, well, it's not something you have to turn off your brain to enjoy, surprise of all surprise. The characters were well represented, the acting is great, they expanded on all the things that worked from the original movie and cranked them up by a bit. It all just works in a delightful package, and to it delivers a phenomenal experience. And that was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Also, can we talk about how awesome it is that the cover for this movie literally references Sonic 2's cover?
Yep, it does.
Yep. So, that was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we'll see you back for Sonic 3, or more likely the Knuckles series. See you then.
See ya.